The Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine continues its story in round 3 of the season. After a wet and interesting qualifying session earlier on today, we look forward to a great race 1 coming up, which still is going to be seeing quite a bit of drama and quite a bit of intrigue heading into this, with Freddie Slater starting in 3rd position. He's the one to keep an eye on, as he usually likes to come alive in the wet conditions. We're going to discuss more about that, and we're going to discuss what the other drivers have in store, including possibly what could be a historic day for Van Amersfoort in their 50th year celebration as well. Well, it's great to have your company. We welcome you up to the commentary box. My name is Omi. Delighted to be up with you once again for FRECA. We're happy to be able to do this entire weekend live this time around. And alongside me, as you can see to the bottom of the screen, we've also got the return of Wes after a FRECA round away. Hi, Wes.
Hello, Omi. Hello, everyone watching the stream. It's glad to be back. We've got a very fun weekend already for any of you who were watching qualifying. It was a pole position lap that really came out of nowhere, I thought, from Pedro Claro. The stream wasn't even watching his lap, so really no one was expecting it. But he really managed to pull it out of the bag, out of what was, by his own standards, quite a disappointing round in Spa. Didn't even manage to take away a single point from that event, and now he's only gone and stuck the car on pole. So great stuff from the Brazilian driver.
Yeah, we were supposed to be live on TikTok as well for this, but unfortunately, due to us finding things out a little bit late, unfortunately we aren't able to. But we're on here as normal as we're on here, of course, on YouTube as per normal is what I'm trying to see if I can get my words out. Getting into position then, cars on the grid. The formation lap is going to begin in 6 minutes and 30 seconds time, so we're going to be getting this underway very, very shortly, and we cannot wait to see how it is all going to play out as they get themselves into position. As you can see then, with our live timings, we have another round of FRECA and another set of live timings for you, where it's Pedro Claro who starts on pole position, Ashke Bora in 2nd position, and whereas of course we don't cover qualifying, so I think it's important to mention how the qualifying sessions actually go in FRECA, where of course we have 2 groups where the drivers find themselves, and so that's basically split into half.
Yeah, that's right. So we've of course got a bumper grid, as anyone who's familiar to this series will know. So in order to try and mitigate the traffic problems inevitable to this level of feeder series racing, they split the cars into odd and even numbered groups, and that meant and whoever takes pole position in a given group, that will decide which side of the grid you start from. In this particular case, Pedro Claro, who was in Group B, managed to set a quicker time than Group A's fastest, who was Akshay Bora. Therefore, Claro starts and his group starts on the clean side of the grid, and Bora and his group start on the less clean side.
Yep, exactly. That is indeed how it works. So that's how the grids are formed and how they are set. We had a dramatic qualifying session earlier on. Myself and Wes were discussing about that right before we came on air, as we see some of the systems for the world feed go a little bit glitchy momentarily with their cameras, but everything is back to normal. So 5 minutes away from the formation lap. Ashke Bora starting in 2nd place. He'll be hoping for a good race. He'll have the inside line heading down towards Tarzan Corner, Wes.
Yeah, I absolutely love the first corner is called Tarzan. Little known fact: I happen to know the land that this track was originally purchased. The original owner of the land could do a Tarzan impression, the famous yodel call. So, and it was the first corner was named after that. So, little known fact there.
We love a bit of fact as well, especially as we're building up and getting ready to get going for this race. If anyone's wondering why I am facing in this specific angle, I'm just trying to get our live timing sorted, which, as I mentioned earlier on, every round of FRECA usually does have a different live timing due to the location of the race. So it does mean that we come into this having to do what for other series what we would do in the opening race of the season as well. So that's what's currently taking place. I'm just getting our battle screen ready so we can also go there and say hello to Chris McCarthy in a moment as well, who's doing his first FRECA race of the season, and I'm sure he'll be looking forward to that one quite a bit, as he's had to miss a lot due to his new commitments with Formula 2 that he is having to do in his usual with Formula 3 and the Porsche Mobile One Super Cup. Talking about the Porsches, we've had them out there on the circuit. Lots of drivers, Wes, who participate in the Porsche Super Cup, and loads of drivers who also were a part of this category, where of course, also, we do have Kaz Havercourt racing in one of the Porsche series this weekend, because he, and it's important to mention him, because he was Van Amersfoort's last winner. He was the last driver to give them a win, and it also came around this circuit in 2023.
Yeah, it is indeed. Two different Porsche Carrera Cup championships: the Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland and Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. I believe Kaz Havercourt's racing in the German series this weekend, although multiple drivers from both series do race on the F1 supporting Porsche Super Cup. And Havercourt, as you mentioned, the last driver for Van Amersfoort to win for them at this track, is doing incredibly well in both of those series. So yeah, the question is, can Claro fix that drought that Van Amersfoort have been having in FRECA?
Yep, it'll be very interesting to see in their home race, and also as they celebrate 50 years. It's going to be a perfect scenario coming up for them. Jack Beaton is the driver who starts in 11th for Prema Racing. Will be interesting to see how he gets on. Chris McCarthy is going to tell us a little bit more, as we're about to hand over to him for a few minutes as we get ready for the formation lap 2 again.
No points for pole position, nor for fastest lap, so Jack Beaton will need to move forward. Next along, we come to Dion Gouda, who's taken 3 rookie wins, 3 rookies out there. He's the top of them on the grid, so a chance to make that 4 here today. And Dion Gouda will start from P12, looking to add to those rookie wins. Next along, Michael Belov hasn't raced here in this championship since 2022, so it's been a couple of years out for him in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine and Zandvoort, getting himself familiar again with these surroundings for JBMotorsports. And then we come to Yaroslav Veselau, a personal best qualifying session for the Ukrainian driver. Took advantage of what was a chaotic qualifying session in a way, one that provided lots of opportunity, and Yaroslav was there to do just that. Tim Gerhardt has taken a 4-place grid drop from Spa, and he is going to start 15th. It was a very good qualifying session for Tim Gerhardt, was going to be his best, but nevertheless, he has taken a 4-place grid drop, and definitely taking inspiration from the fact he's on home soil this weekend. The rookie driver as well. Then we have Kanato Lee alongside him, 11th in the championship. Kanato Lee was well up there fighting to be within that top 10, but just went off on the last lap. Ricky Liu and Nandavud Binambakti on his 19th birthday will be next. And then we have Ye Riha on the 10th row with Dorian Pan, who you may have been watching in F1 The Academy on row 10. Great to see her with the Prema Racing team, doing a great job in F1 Academy. And here, Sakir Al-Mashirji is on 21st place with Enzo Peugeot. 3 11th places for him, so has fell just short of that top 10. Edward Borgner is going to be on row 12 with Adi Kulkarni, who raced here in GB3. Then the drivers on the back row, the story of those two, the reason we've pushed them back to the back row, they did not set a time in qualifying. Nikita Bedrin had a technical issue which brought him to a halt before he'd set a flying lap. Unfortunately, Nikita Bedrin coming to a stop, coming down to turn 11, and Giovanni Maschio crashed coming through the banking, and that brought an early end to his session. So unfortunate for Giovanni Maschio as we now prepare for the start. Thank you for being with us.
Yep. We absolutely appreciate you joining us as the cars set off for their formation lap as well. And there we go. You can now hopefully see a bit more of a complete screen with everything how it should be as we set off on the formation lap, as I mentioned. Yeah, as Chris McCarthy was mentioning, Giovanni Maschio, not what he wanted at all. The race that we were covering was in Misano, the second race of the weekend on the Sunday. I remember he had a crash coming out of the final corner straight into the pit wall. So unfortunate stuff for him. Now Chris McCarthy ran into a bit of the grid. We'll also do the same once again, and we'll put it down to battle screen as well. It's Pedro Claro who is on pole position. He's alongside Ashke Bora, Freddie Slater, the driver, who will be going from third position for Prema. He's alongside Enzo Dellini. Evan Giltez, one of our winners from earlier on in the season. He's alongside Matteo Di Paolo. Same thing applies for him. He's also our championship leader. Taita Kato finds himself starting directly in behind on row 4 of the grid, and then it's Hayu Yamakoshi, Jin Nakamura, and Rashid Al-Daheri share row number 5 out of 13. And then we have Jack Beaton, who's alongside Dion Gouda. Let's see how he's going to be able to get on for Van Amersfoort. And then it's Michael Belov, who has his second round of the season. He finds himself alongside Yaroslav Rasialo, who will go from row 7. Tim Gayhart is in 15th alongside Kanata Lee in 16th. That's row 8 for those two drivers. Let's see what Kanata Lee is going to be able to do. And then we have Ricky Liu in 17th position on the grid. And then we find ourselves coming in to play Nant Howard Bakti, so it's an all Trident road there. Rui Hengye is in 19th alongside Dorian Pan, who you would have heard Chris McCarthy talking a little bit about as well. And then we have Saka Al-Musheri alongside Enzo Peugeot, disappointment for him. And then we have Bornier, who is in 23rd. Kulkarni is in 24th position as well, who's raced here in GB3. Nikita Bedrin is in 25th. He came to a halt on the circuit, and Giovanni Maschio had a crash in qualifying, and he looks to bounce back in the raceways.
Yeah, he does. He crashed at the banked turn 3 at Hugenholtz, bringing qualifying to a halt. It left just 6 minutes of qualifying remaining for the drivers to get the tyres warmed up, which is no mean feat in this series, and set a time. And Claro managing to do that better than any other driver.
Yep. It's going to be an interesting fight down towards turn 1. Looking forward to it. Tarzan corner, of course, as we mentioned. The circuit still greasy. Still is quite green. And it's going to lead us with some FRECA race as well. There is a lot of rain that is expected overnight. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that brings to us tomorrow. We're of course, supporting the DTM Championship. And we also find ourselves racing a bit more earlier on tomorrow due to the DTM, of course, being the last action tomorrow. Today, we, though, get the roll call of being the last action as well. Final few cars are getting into position, and then it will be time to go racing. What can Nikita Bedrin do? Would have been absolutely disappointed with the car dying, basically, out on the circuit. It caused our red flag, and as we mentioned, Giovanni Maschio was the man into the wall. He'll be trying to avoid that as the cars line up on the grid then, and it is going to be time to put the green flag at the back, and it will be time to go racing in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. We have 3, 4, 5 red lights. Lights out! The battle to Tarzan corner is on! Freddie Slater darting left, darting right, darting to the lead, because he's going to clear our pole sitter down towards turn 1. It'll be Slater who managed to get the launch off the line compared to Enzo Dellini. He got the start up against Ashke Bora as well as we make our way to the first turn, and that is going to be disappointment for our pole sitter. Freddie Slater hits the front. Can they all make their way through? They are debating which line to take, the high line, the low line, as we go to the banked corner of turn number 3. A great getaway, and Freddie Slater, even after starting third after his qualifying earlier on, finds himself as the leader on the opening lap.
Yeah, he was extremely disappointed being on the second row after qualifying, but he is more than made up for that now. That was a phenomenal start from the third grid spot, and Slater leads. I think, has Claro got back in front of Bora now? Yes, he has. Well done there to Pedro Claro.
Yep, exactly what Pedro Claro wanted. He was able to fight back as Di Paolo is trying to make a move. Contact! Further back. Yep, we've got Spinner at the back, and that is going to be off the road we're going to go. We've got Kulkarni involved, and I think we've got one of the RSGP cars further on as well.
Yeah, I didn't quite spot who the RSGP car was. Who was Kulkarni alongside? Can't make it out. I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, we do have the safety car, so we're going to have plenty of time to do that, Wes.
Yes, we do. Yeah, safety car obviously out. Both cars with suspension damage there. And there is the British driver. Still can't quite make out a number for the. Is it Gilter? No. Oh, it's Borgner. So it's a G4 car, actually, not an RSGP car. Edward Borgner. It's very hard to tell some of these liveries apart sometimes. Let's have a look at a replay.
Okay, so Borgner sending it up the inside.
It's so hard to tell. Kulkarni there. I don't know if he just didn't see him or. But he very much turned in. It was a decent move from Bogner. I think he had a right to some space, but Kulkarni just wasn't having it.
Yep, absolutely. As the race has started, we're having to fix a bit more of our systems as well. That's what happens when we do have new timings absolutely every single round. So, Chris McCarthy has a bit more information about the start for us, though.
Great driving from the British driver to get himself through. There are the two stricken cars. Good to see they're both out and walking away. That's what we want to see, but no surprise to see they take separate directions. Slater leading Claro, leading Bora. Then we have Gilter, Deligny, De Paolo, Yamakoshi, Kato, Nakamura, and Aldeheri. Beaten 11th, Dion Gouda is the lead rookie. That's going to be investigated after the race. It's no surprise. It was an ambitious move down the inside at turn 9 on the opening lap of a race. Tricky to overtake around this circuit at any time, isn't it? They're going to have to push the pass system available. And we will see that in use, and we will always, around this circuit, look to the sky to see if the weather will play a part. For now, it doesn't really look like that's going to happen. Claro, I think he'll be a bit frustrated, won't he, that he finds himself staring at the back of another car, but he's got plenty of time in this race to try and get that lead back from Slater. In terms of our championship, the top 4, De Paolo, who leads it, is P6. Gilter, who's second, is P4. Deligny, who's third, is P5. Slater, who's fourth, is P1. So this works great. He'll close the gap to all those 3 ahead. It'll be 25 points at this stage in the way of Slater, and 8 points going to Matteo De Paolo. So there would be a swing of 17 points between De Paolo and Slater, and that would close things to 6 points between De Paolo and Slater, opening the door for a possible change of position between Slater and De Paolo tomorrow. And that's the story we are seeing play out so far. The big story Van Amersfoort wanted was their first win since 2023, though, the championship battle aside. And there is still an opportunity for that to happen. Akshay Bora in third. He's doing a great job here. He's 13th in the championship. This could be a first podium finish for him. For Pedro Claro, it would be a first podium of the season. Pedro Claro has been on the podium twice before, but this would be a first one of the season, and it would really get his championship going now. Car 5. Ricky Liu, start procedure infringement will be investigated after the race. Well, all results are always provisional.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting one indeed. So, finally, I think we've got everything sorted, and we won't have this issue tomorrow, but as it's the first race of the weekend for FRECA, it does mean that all of the timings change, and we do have to go with them. no matter what round it is as well. But yes, that's the news coming in momentarily with race control messages. But we're behind the safety car then, and we've nearly completed the first quarter of this race. But I mean, Wes, in typical FRECA fashion, this is what we sometimes do get, where we can have some long safety car periods, and meaning the racing can be slightly reduced.
Yeah, indeed. All of these young drivers are hungry for some results, and they can sometimes let their immaturity get the best of them. Definitely at the front, though, I'm definitely seeing some real maturity from drivers such as Slater and particularly Jill Terre as well. If we go back to the winter watching at the Formula Regional Middle East, I feel like he had a very, very strong performance there.
Yeah, and this safety car allows us to talk a bit about. Of course, I mentioned it on air, but that was a recorded race. We weren't able to do it live. It was premiered, so I didn't even get the most time due to how busy the weekend was, where we basically had to shout about Freddie Slater doing a last to first in GB3, and then say goodbye. But yeah, we're back here. We've got, of course, this full race. We have a live broadcast. It's great to fully be back, and for me, it's great to be actually able to fully enjoy a FRECA weekend for the first time this season. We of course got a full weekend last time out on the weekend of Mexico, but this weekend, no Mexico, no any other motorsport racing for me to worry about. It's the others on JB Motorsports that you can catch. For example, some of the British F4 that's going on, some of the NASCAR that will be going on as well at the moment. So yeah, quite a bit going on, but the safety car's coming in at the end of this lap, so we will absolutely discuss the Freddie Slater story, but we'll do that in a moment in terms of what he did in GB3. But Freddie Slater right now, though, here at Zandvoort in FRECA, it's about to take us to the green flags once again. Pedro Clara will look to try and regain that race lead as we're about to make our way out of the banked corner here at Zandvoort. Let's see, when does he put his foot down? Is he going to be able to catch out the Van Amersfoort driver? Freddie Slater has gone, and he does take us back now, and Pedro Clara tucking in the slipstream. He'll be under a bit of pressure, though, from Ashke Bora. You're also going to get Evan Gilter trying to make a move as well. So, defensive shape thrown by Pedro Clara down to Tarzan corner. Around the outside tries to go Ashke Bora. That could leave himself vulnerable, because Gilter will be having a look all the while, and Gilter will still be trying to dart all over the road. Very nearly 3 wide. They go back to single file, and we still maintain order with Slater at the front.
Yeah, going into Hugenholtz now, this banked left-hand, very nearly 3 wide, as you said earlier, Omi. They're all fighting over second position now, but at the moment it remains as it was on the safety car restart, and Freddie Slater is already, I think, starting to stretch his legs just a little bit. He's currently got 2 purple sectors already, so he's going to try and romp away at the front.
He's flying as Freddie Slater immediately trying to break clear. All of the talk about Van Amersfoort getting that big win for them doesn't look like that's heading their way at the moment, unless they can recover and try close in. They're in second place. Freddie Slater, though, will look to try control things in typical Freddie Slater fashion as well. So, down to the braking zone. We're through the back straight. Right now, Matteo Di Paolo trying to put some pressure on the man in 5th, Enzo Delini as well, who will be coming under a bit of threat down this straight 100%. Rashid El Daheri is further back, and he's trying to attack Jack Beaton and Ty Jakarta. That's a great battle that is going on at the moment as well, as we make our way out of the final corner down the straight, and we look to see who is going to be dishing out the overtakes once again to Tarzan.
Yeah, that's right. This track, not easy to overtake on. There are a couple of attempted moves at the back now. Just trying to see who this is. I think that is for Ricky Liu, I believe, who's just been overtaken by somebody else. But yeah, up front, mostly single file. De Paolo in 6th position, as you mentioned earlier. He had such a promising opening part to his qualifying session, but just kind of fell away and really wasn't able to recover. Kind of mired in the mid part of the top 10. Still on for some points though, so his championship is far from over, but it's not really where he wants to be.
Not where he wants to be indeed. So, Slater looking to try and regain the championship lead by the end of today. And he's a driver who, of course, has had a very mixed season as well. He found himself, of course, with a a very dramatic Spa round, including the race 2, where we had contact with Dorian Pan down to turn 1, and we had 3 cars eliminated that day. And then in the season opener even, which gave Matteo Di Paolo the win, the contact that we had on the opening lap, that was major as well in a big way. And Freddie Slater found himself then recovering when it came to the next round. In the second race of the Misano weekend, it was Gilter who brilliantly took the win. He just about hanged on. And then, as I mentioned, he was able to finally become our first British winner in FRECA. In the opening race of the Spa weekend before we had contact again. So he's going to try and avoid that this weekend though, as we get to the overtaking, and there we see a move coming in from Nikita Bedrin. We mentioned how he'll be on the attack today after his issue earlier on. We knew he was going to be attacking, and he right now finds himself just getting past Ricky Lear.
Yeah, that's right. Bedrin, as you said, started on the back row after a penalty in qualifying, and already up into 16th place. So yeah, really recovering well up there, and he's not too far away from some points, and still 17 minutes and some change from the end of this race. So yeah, plenty of time to get around that area.
Yep, lockups aplenty as we make our way through. And is that Bedrin slowing again? Nikita Bedrin slowing down once more, just like he did in qualifying. It looks like it's going to happen again. I can't believe it. He was on the attack. He was making overtakes. He was making moves. But that looks to be the end of Bedrin's race around the same part of the circuit like his qualifying came to an end.
Is that our first case of commentator's curse, Omi? I think it is. I shouldn't be smiling. Poor Nikita Bedrin, and he doesn't even pull off the track. He's not on the racing line, but he's still very much on the track. That'll be another safety car, I think, for certain. But yeah, poor Nikita Bedrin, who so much needed a good result from this event. Currently mired down in 10th place in the championship on only 16 points, and he's not going to be adding to it in this race.
Yeah, cannot believe it. Safety car's out, of course, but that has to hurt after what happened in qualifying. Making the overtakes, going on the charge, and then it's happened all over again for him. And yeah, that car has not been behaving itself, let's just say. That Sanchaluk racing car that Nikita Bedrin is racing, and he'll be hoping that tomorrow qualifying can go well, and so can the race as well. But it'll be interesting to see what happens as we get the Alpine safety car coming out onto the circuit, as we get ready to reach half race distance, and the marshals will get to work and get ready to clear that car off Nikita Bedrin, which is off the racing line, as you mentioned, Wes, but unfortunately we still do need to stop the action, as it needs to be fully cleared off the circuit, of course, for the safety reasons. And we do thank all of the marshals who are assisting in these type of events, and especially these type of events, Wes, because there's a lot on, and there's usually a lot of chaos, no matter what series it is.
Yeah, that's true. With as you said at the top of the broadcast, Omi, this being the last race of the day. Here at this DTM event, so we're not in danger of going over schedule or anything like that. But of course, we've only got so much light to play with, so the organisers will want to make sure this event doesn't go over time, if at all possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had that with the GB3 last time out as well. If we remember back to race 2, where that was called very early due to the daylight, where we randomly got the checkered flag. I believe there was an investigation going on that as well, because it just came upon us. I don't think anyone was aware. The checkered flag was just waved a few laps earlier. No confirmation of it being the final lap. No confirmation of the race being shortened. It just got ended. So yeah, there is a bit of an investigation that did go on with how it was handled. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of that. But finally, I can talk about what we wanted with the GB3 moment for Freddie Slater. Last to first, I mean, we were talking in messages, Wes, about it after the fact. And you were describing how he basically absolutely blistered the field and really kind of owned the field with his performance all the way from 23rd and last.
I think, is that somebody else has stopped out on track, Omi?
It looks
I can't quite tell who that is. They've got going again now, though, so hard to. Yeah, I'll get back to you on that. But yeah, going back to what we were saying about Slater's performance at Spa. Just look. Of course, there was a bit of luck involved with the safety car and things like that, but this combined with that the launch off the line we saw at the top of this race as well. He is on a lot of F1 teams' radars. In fact, it boggles my mind actually that he hasn't already been signed up to an F1 academy as of yet. I'm sure it's only a matter of time though.
I think he might be doing the Lando Norris, because he's got all the funding to manage it himself. He'll get himself to F2, of course. Then see which team is doing the best. Which, I mean, at that point, he'll probably have, if he continues with what he's doing, he'll probably have every F1 team wanting him in his academy, him in their academy. So it's like, he's probably keeping his options open, which I think is a fair thing to do. If he's got the funding, if he can manage it himself until he gets to F2. And then after that, right before he needs to get into F1, he can get himself quickly in an academy. So I think Freddie Slater playing it right to not get himself, let's say, into a bit of an Alpine situation or anything like that.
Yeah, definitely a power move if that is the case. It's so rare to see something like that with just insane budgets required in order to make any sort of progression up the motorsport ladder. So yeah, if Slater, of course, like many drivers coming from a wealthy background, and yeah, if he can make the teams come to him in what would amount to a bidding war, then yeah, the real power move, and great to see.
Shows the talent. At least, of course, we do get the term paid driver called to a lot of people. At least we've got the right man who has the budget as well. As Freddie Slater absolutely deserves to be in one of the best teams in Formula 1 with how he is driving. So, we are behind the safety car then. As we mentioned, we're ticking down, about to go into the final quarter of this race. We've got 11 minutes and 10 seconds to go on the clock as well. But it's going to be very interesting to see how it's all going to play out. So the marshals now are about to get on to clearing that Santalot car, and then we'll be able to get going as we just get the tractor moving it out of the way. And then Freddie Slater will have to contend with another restart, but if he can nail it like he did the first, he'll find himself in a good position as he tries to dominate ever since he took that lead on the run down towards Tarzan at turn number 1. Clara will be looking to try to stick with Slater and get the slipstream. He does not want to, of course, be under pressure from Bora or Gilter like we saw last time around.
Yeah, that's right. So just 10.5 minutes plus 1 lap to go in this race, and the gap that Slater had carved out for himself has been eradicated now, so he'll have to start all over again. And we've got race control saying car 10 incident will be investigated after this race. I'm just having a look who that would be. Car 10 is Nikita Bedrin, so I'm not sure if he's had contact with anyone. That may well be because he didn't pull off the track and just decided to stop out on track when there was a marshal's post available. So possibly the weekend getting far worse for Bedrin in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly the case at the moment as they continue to navigate their way through. The safety car is going to be coming in at the end of this lap, and we'll be able to get back to the green flags around Zandvoort circuit. A favourite for loads of drivers, of course, whereas they absolutely adore racing around this circuit. It's a roller coaster and it's a great venue, which they'll get to experience at this level, of course, and at GB3 as well. But until they possibly get to Formula 1, they may never get to drive it again, because we see lots of drivers go from this route to Formula 3 to then Formula 2, and then of course they'll hope to get to F1. But not many years left of Formula 1's contract here. Will come to an end in a couple of years' time, and F2 and F3 don't race here. So it could be the final time for some of these drivers even.
Yeah, that's true. It's such a shame that we're losing Zandvoort from the Formula One calendar. I believe it's just I think it's just this year is this year is going to be the last one. So yeah, great shame. It's of course, as I said earlier, not the easiest track in the world to overtake on, and that's with these cars, and Formula One cars obviously much wider, making it even more difficult. But even so, the roller coaster nature and the skill necessary, even Formula One drivers getting it wrong in certain very tricky corners. Turn 7 springs to mind as well, that a few drivers this weekend have been losing it there. Big crash in one of the Porsche races. It was the Porsche Pro Cup Benelux, the one on just before this one, right at the end. And yeah, it's just a real test of driver skill as we get the race going once again.
Yep, we're battling down to turn 1. Slater's got the getaway that he wants, and he'll maintain the lead. Big defensive shape thrown from second place for Claro. Bora has a look, can't get by. That'll be Delaney trying to get and take the wide line to try and get the power down. Contact and cars off into the gravel trap in the background. That is going to be super tight stuff as they all find themselves rejoining at the moment. And that was a very aggressive restart. Tata Carter was the driver off into the gravel trap on the exit of Tarzan corner. Slater doing exactly what he needs to once again. He is absolutely nailing these restarts. Claro and Bora, Gilter and Delaney all maintaining order as they continue battling further back.
Yeah, only a slight gap though. He definitely hasn't lost Claro to the same extent that he did. Claro going with him and not really under pressure from Bora behind at the moment. So we could be seeing Claro challenging for the lead, hopefully, at some point in the next 6 minutes and 1 lap.
Yep. If he can remain close, he'll definitely get that opportunity. They all make their way through and get ready to stand on the power as they go down this back straight. Rashid Al-Daheri, I can see just behind Jack Beaton at the moment, as there, a move being thrown down the inside. That's going to be Michael Belov, and Michael Belov just being able to contend at this stage. And he finds himself directly ahead of Kanata Lee. He'll try and attack the Van Amersfoort driver of Dion Gouda directly in front. Great to see the sun starting to come out as we complete the final on-track action here of the day at Zandvoort. It is 9/10 of a second out in front. A bit of a lock-up coming in for Freddie Slater. And we take a look with Belov continuing to defend further back as we see Tata Carter Kanata Lee try make that move. And we're going side by side further back as well. Jin Nakamura trying to get involved. So some great battling on this restart then as we go on to the second lap after this safety car.
Yeah, that's right. Linus Stern still at the moment. No real moves being made at the front. About 9, just a little under a second between the British driver at the front and the Brazilian in second place. Fastest first sector from Akshay Bora, so he's going to try and make inroads into the gap between himself and Claro.
Yep, that's a look coming in. And that will be Al-Daheri just trying to make the move now. And he's up the inside of Jack Beaton. Jack Beaton taking the wide line. He'll try stand on the power, and they'll be millimeters away from contact. As Beaton goes off the road, Al-Daheri finds himself through. And that was super tight stuff between the teammates, of course. Al-Daheri may have a different livery, but he drives for Prema Racing.
Yeah, that's true. But he's there's definitely no love lost between the two of them at the moment. Beaton forced to go off the beaten path onto the gravel for a second, and Al-Daheri now up into 8th place. Should remind everyone it's the same point system as Formula One, so 25 for a win, 18 for second, etc., all the way down to 10th place, currently occupied by Dion Gouda.
Lockups are plenty heading down to Tarzan. Let's take a look at the replay. Al-Daheri and Jack Beaton basically banging wheels. Beaton having to run off through the grass, and Rashid Al-Daheri making his way through. So Beaton will definitely not be too satisfied with that one, as we review some of the moments with lots of drivers making lockups down into the braking zone as well. And it was getting super tight as we have 3 minutes and 50 seconds in this race to go. So a few more battles to resolve, including Matteo Di Paolo, who will try and take the position, and he's going to try to take it right now of Enzo Deligny, who is tight with his defense, and he was able to block that move and attempt from Matteo Di Paolo, and that means Yamakoshi is there as he tries to also make the move.
Yeah, Deligny famously has Max Verstappen levels of defense manners when it comes to cars behind extreme. Paolo's only just managed to defend from Yamakoshi, who himself is recovering from what's been a difficult race. But yeah, still the same lineup. Everyone's still in their place as before. No changes so far. Just under 3 minutes to go in this race. Freddie Slater's maintaining his 9/10 of a second gap at the front to Pedro Claro, who has eased away just a little bit from Bora. So some gaps starting to form. Still some moves being made though in the mid-pack.
Yep, they're all looking to see where the opportunity is. So Di Paolo, after that moment where we had a half look, it meant that he's under massive pressure now, coming in as we go down through the second sector of this lap in a few moments' time, and it's going to be a second sector full of Yamakoshi in Di Paolo's mirrors. He's had to get out of it due to how closely he was running to the Trident driver, but he was really closing in with the slipstream down towards turn number 8 as we make our way through this middle part of the lap. Now this technical middle part of the lap, he'll get to another back straight, and then he'll now start to assess where the opportunity could be and where could the chance come in terms of displacing the car ahead at the moment. Not the only driver who will be attempting to do that. You've got lots of drivers in this train, so we could be seeing some late moves come in and some late charges as well. So looking forward to seeing how all of that is going to play out down into the braking zone, and it won't be the only battle that'll be going on. You've got a bit of an attack coming in further back. Biran Bhakti trying to attack Taito Kato at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. Yamakoshi still looking at the back of Di Paolo. Yamakoshi has a brilliant relationship with the Van Amersfoort team. He drove for them, of course, last year in Italian F4. Really took the fight to Freddie Slater on occasion as well. Slater, despite taking so many wins, didn't have it all his own way all the time. Yamakoshi was right there. Hasn't quite got into the groove, I don't think, of Formula Regional in the same way that Slater has. Yamakoshi, third in the championship, had a brilliant second place in Spa last time out, though, and he really is a fighter when it comes to this championship, though.
Yeah, all of Freddie Slater's Hill Speed teammates, which Yamakoshi also is in GB3, and Kanato Lee's in there as well. All of them are doing dual campaigns and are with us here in FRECA, as we mentioned earlier on. So they're doing dual campaigns is Yamakoshi, so that's quite interesting to watch. Bora is trying to put some pressure on Pedro Claro. That's for second place in the race, but Freddie Slater about to pick up a second victory of the season, and it's going to be one that he will absolutely be delighted off as well as we make our way through towards the end of this lap. And let's see what Bora is going to be able to do as we just look to see where all of the battles will come in. Of course, we're going to have one more lap coming in after this one, so they're going to come across the line. We'll have one more lap of racing, meaning that this is going to be one of the last opportunities that Bora will have if he wants to get past Pedro Claro. Can anyone make the move? They're all having a look absolutely everywhere. Yamakoshi could not get by on Di Paolo, meaning they'll have to go a little bit magical later on in this lap if they are to fight their way by through a different part of the circuit.
Yeah, that's right. With two safety car interruptions to this race, it means the drivers have got much more of their tyres left to play with than usual. We can see that in what Freddie Slater's doing at the moment. Even though it's the last lap and he's got a 1.4 second. Oh, as off goes one of the RPM cars. It's number 99.
Oh,
that's
Maschio.
Giovanni Maschio. Oh, and he's
Okay.
gone into the barriers. Yeah, big accident there from Maschio and his weekend. I hope he's got some spare parts available, because he's already used a lot of them after his accident in qualifying.
Yeah.
So a lot of bad luck this weekend for Mascio.
It will be disappointment for Giovanni Masciu after his crash in qualifying, and then to find the wall once again, it means he had a trip to the pit lane. Slater's on his way to victory. Calero just holding on from Ashke Bora in the battle for second place. You've got Gilter hoping for some fireworks. Those fireworks will not be coming his way though, because we are making our way through the final corner, the banked corner here at Zandvoort, and it is going to see Freddie Slater pick up a second FRECA victory of the season. It's going to be side by side to the line. Freddie Slater wins. It's going to be Pedro Claro who just gets it by a few hundredths of a second, and it's going to be Bora in third. Gilter got close across the line as well. That was FRECA racing all the way to the line, less than a tenth between second, third and fourth. Brilliant stuff between them. It's close absolutely everywhere we look, but not close to the front. It is another victory by Freddie Slater.
Absolutely excellent there. Slater will have to do some quick maths to find out where he will be in the championship. Of course, he's had a winner, second place, and the other two races so far this year have been retirements. So he won't be taking the lead of the championship, but will regardless very much eat into the 23-point gap he had to Matteo De Paolo, who was in the lead.
Absolutely, we'll confirm you through our results from this race. Freddie Slater ends as the winner, and then it's a 10th between second, third and fourth. It's Calero ahead of Bora, ahead of Gilter, then it's Delaney in fifth, Matteo Di Paolo is in sixth, then it's Yamakoshi in seventh, Rashid Al-Daheri is in eighth position. What an extraordinary FRECA race that was. Jack Beaton's in 9th, Dion Gowder's in 10th, then it's Michael Belov in 11th, Kanata Lee's in 12th, and then it's Jin Nakamura in 13th, Enzo Pages in 14th, Taito Carter in 15th, Nant Harud Birimbakti is the driver in 16th position across the line, and it was super tight stuff between Lee and Nakamura across the line as well. So some close finishers there as well. Then it was Ricky Liu in 17th, Tim Gerhards in 18th, and then Rui Heng Ye in 19th position, Dorian Pan in 20th, and then we had Sakir Al-Mashuri in 21st, and then quite a few retirements from the race, of course, being, as you can see on screen. I'm just going to have to make sure that I scroll down for you as well, so you're able to see some of those said retirements. Now we take a look at a replay of it being side by side to the line. It was also close. It wasn't the only battle. It was close between Matteo Di Paolo and Yamakoshi, nearly getting past. So some brilliant racing all the way to the end, Wes.
Yeah, it was absolutely brilliant right at the end. It was De Paolo just managing to hang on at the end there for 6th place. And I mean, championships have been decided over less than a point in the past, so that could mean all the difference to him at the end. And of course, this championship is much closer than others have been in the past as well. So every little bit counts at the front.
Yeah, all bits are important. Freddie Slater is about to get out of the car, and about to get out of the car as the winner once again. The Magic from Spa sees the Magic transfer over and continue in Zandvoort, where he's on top of the car, doing his pose, jumping off his Prema car, touching the camera and going into the hands of his Prema team as well. Delightful stuff for Freddie Slater, being able to once again get up there. Pedro Calero could not give Van Amersfoort the historic win that they would have wanted, but it will still be celebrations, and that will be consistent points. As Wes was mentioning, the championship can sometimes come down to those little margins, and those little margins are exactly what second, third, some of those positions will be needed by the time that we get all of the points tally added up by the end of the season. So another great second place for Claro, and then Ashke Bora doing his championship well as well by getting that third position. So quite a happy podium. Of course, there will be a bit of disappointment for Van Amersfoort and Claro, but Slater just had that pace, and we'll go again tomorrow, Wes, where, as I mentioned, we have rain expected overnight, we have rain expected tomorrow. It's another day, it's another big chance with probably a wet qualifying, maybe even a bit more of a wet race as well, so it's going to be quite dramatic.
Yeah, that's right. Rain was expected for today as well, but as is so often the way with the Dutch weather, it is completely unpredictable. So yeah, either for qualifying or the race, we're expecting a bit more rain. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
As we mentioned, the race will take place a lot more earlier. It's at 12:30 tomorrow UK time. That's 1:30 local. It's a lot more early, of course, due to the DTM event taking priority with its big race taking place, of course, as the final bit of on-track action, kind of like what we have with Formula 1 as well, that being the Grand Prix, that being the last thing that's on. And then on Saturday, it doesn't matter if something is on after qualifying. So it's kind of like that with us, with the FRECA race being the last thing on circuit today, and a great last thing to have on circuit today as well. A really, really exciting category and a great championship for everyone to enjoy. And I mean, Wes, we were discussing this a bit more earlier on. I was discussing this with the rest of the JB Motorsports crew, how it is great to be able to have a single-seater championship when sometimes we're on a weekend, for example, like the touring cars, where the only single-seater on is British F4, so everyone gets excited when we do get the British F4s out there. So it's kind of like with this, we have a lot of Porsches, we have the DTMs out there, and it's great to have a single-seater championship out there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. As much as we all love watching tin top racing, whether it be GT or touring cars, it's really, really good to have a single-seater feeder series that that just manages to provide a nice ladder, possibly to Formula One.
It is really, really good as well, and it is Freddie Slater who's absolutely delighted with that one. Dion Gauda, our rookie winner, and they've got two drivers out there on the podium as well. And we're going to see the trophies given and presented to the drivers as well. And it's going to be, first of all, heading Ashke Bora's way, and he gets the trophy presented, as he'll be delighted with that one. Will pose, of course, for the photos, and will find himself then looking over to see the Van Amersfoort duo getting one as well. And as we mentioned, Dion Gauda getting the rookie victory. It is, of course, the second place heading Claro's way. It's the biggest trophy of them all, though, heading Slater's way. He is our race winner once again in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. And all of the we'll also get Prema getting the trophy. A dominant team when it comes to this level. A dominant team when it comes to feeder series racing. Not going their way when it comes to Formula 3, especially this year. But they're continuing their success here. And even a bit of success with the Indy 500 qualifying until that fell away in the race. So lots to look forward to if you're a fan of Prema, and especially the talent that is Freddie Slater. Time for the national anthem. The British national anthem for Freddie Slater, as the drivers get given the instructions in terms of what to do with the podium, and of course they can now lift up their trophies. All get together for that amazing photograph, which they're going to be able to take as well, and it will be one that Freddie Slater wants to savour forever. Dion Gauda will be happy as well. He's a driver who wanted to get these consistent results, but he doesn't only want to be the rookie winner, Wes. He'll want to try and become the main race winner later on this season, but still a bit of work to do for him as well.
Yeah, that's right. Dion Gauda currently in 12th position, a long way above the next highest rookie. So, but his best result up until today was 5th position in Spa. So 10th position, not quite eclipsing that, but yeah, hopefully with a decent qualifying he could do great things.
Yeah, a decent qualifying could possibly lead him to an amazing result, and that's exactly what he'll be hoping for as well. It's been a brilliant round of the Formula Regia European Championship by Alpine so far. Race coming up tomorrow once again, Wes. We'll quickly preview a little bit about that as well. It's going to definitely be quite an exciting race, 100%. There's going to be plenty of action that will be taking place, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it is all going to play out. With qualifying, it's going to be interesting to see how it all goes, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that qualifying session will play out with a bit of rain as we predicted. So I think we could be in for a very, very interesting qualifying as we take a look at some of the moments from the race, which it was a race that had quite a few of them.
It was, yeah, absolutely. Two safety car two safety car interruptions, I should say. And drivers going off, not quite left, right, and centre, but it's definitely difficult to keep it on the island here. The front runners showing up the mid pack just a little bit with their skill. Qualifying so important with the relative narrowness of this track. So an overtaking being difficult. So yeah, with a decent qualifying, any driver can do their best to stay in place or improve.
Yeah, I'd love to get your thoughts a little bit about Giovanni Maschio. We'll stay on air a little bit longer just to debrief and quickly reflect on what we've seen. But Giovanni Maschio, not been going his way, has it? Plenty of crashes. Very unfortunate stuff for him. What do you think he'll be now looking to do heading into tomorrow and heading into the rest of the season? Because it's absolutely not the start that he wanted.
No, it's not. And it can be very, very easy when one or two small things go wrong for you for a desperation to creep in, and that then causes larger mistakes to happen. So he's really going to have to work with his physio or somebody close to him just to try and get his headspace back in the game and focus on what's really important, not let the negatives of today to get him down.
Yeah, that'll be very important as well, not letting the negatives bring him down. I would also like to momentarily talk about Matteo Di Paolo. He's, of course, had that brilliant start to the season. He's now trying to get into that consistent mode. And he's got a good chance if he can remain consistent. Of course, Slater's going to be with us for every single race this season. With GB3, he's, of course, missing rounds. But with this series, he's here with us in every single round as well. So there's a big chance, a great chance that he'll win the title. But we've had it proven to us many times, Wes, including when Evan Gilter beat him to the win in race 2 at Misano, that it's going to be competitive. And if we actually consider how everything's worked out with him being out in race 1 race 1 of course of Misano, race 2 at Spa, that there will be hurdles and there will be missed opportunities. So even if Matteo Di Paolo just remains consistent, he could find himself with a good chance. But I'm sure you'll want to turn the sixths into those seconds and thirds at least to make sure that he's very consistent. Because as we mentioned, that is the F1 point system that we award to these drivers.
That's right. Yeah, I just noticed, which I'm surprised I hadn't noticed before. None of the drivers who were in front of Slater in the championship, that being De Paolo, Gilter, and Deligny, none of them made the podium. So with this win, Slater has really, really eaten into that gap. I said before it was 23 points, so less than a win. So yeah, once we've worked out the maths, we'll let you know tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon for UK viewers, what the championship situation is. But it's going to be very, very tight indeed.
Yeah, what time is the race for you tomorrow? What time are you getting up for that as well? Because it's, I think, 12:30 for us in the UK. So what is it for you? Must imagine it will be very early.
6:30 in the morning. So expect to see me with a bit of bedhead. So
absolutely fine. I think we've had the dramatic late night shifts in the past and early morning ones as well with Formula 3. But yeah, so expect that from Wes coming into tomorrow. I can imagine qualifying is going to be very early for these drivers as well. Do you know the time, Wes, that this qualifying session will be taking place for them?
I can have a quick look for you. We're talking about the local time, aren't we?
Yes, the local time.
Yes, so it'll be 9:20 in the morning local time.
That was bad.
With race 2 happening at 1:35 in the afternoon.
Yeah, perfect. So not as bad, just of course 1 hour earlier if you are in the UK when it comes to that. So an early start for these drivers waking up. Of course, they always have to get to the circuit nice and early, but they'll have a smaller gap to debrief and reflect on what goes on in qualifying, also to the race as well. Rashid Al Daheri, one of our contenders, Wes, so far this season, he found himself in 8th. Of course, when you do have a bit of a poor qualifying, it can be slightly hard to be a contender at the front around a circuit like this in Zandvoort. So he'll try and hope for a better qualifying when it comes to tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. You could see a little bit of the desperation starting to creep in with the move that he had to make on Jack Beaton. I can only imagine the words Beaton was using on the radio when Al Daheri barged his way through. But yeah, that's what happens when you get a either an average or a subpar qualifying at a track like this. You're really just fighting the whole way, and a 30-minute plus 1 lap race can seem like a fairly long time, but as we've seen with the high chance of safety cars and the difficulty of overtaking, that time can go just so quickly.
Yeah, it absolutely can. It can all go very quickly and all basically fade away. We had yellow flags and red flags interrupting sessions. So the drivers will need to make sure that they can get the lap times in nice and early, whereas of course heading into tomorrow. It will be very important that they are able to do that, because then what it will allow them to do is get a good banker in, because you don't know, but we could find ourselves with a late yellow or a late red flag. You basically need to be as high as possible in your group. Usually, especially if there is rain, we're expecting the second group to of course be the group on pole position, unless of course it works in the different way where the rain actually affects the second group rather than the first one. So it'll all depend on the weather, but the main thing in FRECA, I think it's important to emphasize, is that you just need to be near the front of your group.
You do indeed, yeah. And for any drivers who aren't at the very top of their group, they're not even in control of what side of the grid they're starting on either. That's very much controlled by the leader of the given group.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of the preparation needed has to be done on the fly, because you don't know whether you're starting on the clean or the dirty side.
Yeah, if anyone, of course, watches the Formula 3 at Monaco qualifying sessions, or, for example, last year at Monza, even Formula 3 quali, it works exactly basically in the same way. But, of course, we have 2 qualifying sessions, and it sets the grid for each race on that day. So that's the only difference that we have coming into play. Just looking at some of the other drivers and where they found themselves finishing in the results as well. Nantarbi and Bakti, he'll be slightly disappointed. I think trying not with the best of best days. They'll hope to try and improve their position. Will the Italian team heading into tomorrow as well? Michael Belov, of course, who, well, we've seen quite a bit, haven't we? Whereas when it comes to the single-seater championship, he's been in FRECA for quite a while now, hasn't he?
He has indeed, yeah. He's not quite been able to find the budget to move up to Formula 3 just yet. Did do a very impressive move, I seem to remember, at some point in this race, and he was just outside the points, which is always such a frustrating thing when you're a driver. And anybody who has watched Formula 1 and is a fan of Fernando Alonso will know all too well what that pain feels like. But yeah, Belov is he's a solid, if unspectacular, driver, so we may see him move up to Formula 3 at some point in his career, but he seems fairly comfortable right now in FRECA. Yeah.
We, of course, found ourselves with Michael Belov. I remember having a little stint in Formula 3, though, in 2020. That was a long time back, wow. Him. Yeah, exactly. No, right. It was a long time back for Michael Belov, so, yeah, quite interesting. Also, being, of course, still on air, we are able to see some of the race control messages with all of the investigations going on, so that's quite interesting. But what definitely won't be an interesting thing to remember for Bedrin from this weekend will be the misfortune he's had on this Saturday. Wes, a driver who, of course, we saw in Formula 3 last year. We saw him doing the Formula 3 season open at Australia this year as well, and he's doing a full campaign with FRECA. What do you think his expectations are across this season, and what's his goals heading possibly now into tomorrow after what has happened today?
He could be a bit of a wild card, yeah. I was incredibly impressed by his performance in that F3 race in Australia, as you mentioned. He got the what was it, the AIX car he was driving, which has been a bit of a driver rotator so far this season. But he got it right. He managed to get a podium, if I remember right. So yeah, he's very much capable on his day of putting in a really, really solid performance. And up until the point that his car conked out, he was heading straight for the points. I think he was carving his way through the field at a really, really fast rate that we only really saw from the GB3 race in Freddie Slater last week. So. Yeah, Nikita Bedrin on his day, very, very quick driver. He just needs a bit of luck.
Yeah, that's what you'll be hoping comes his way. A little bit of luck as well. Freddie Slater, we mentioned how he was also part of the Formula 3 at Bahrain. He was a contender in the sprint race for the win up against Nicholas Solov, who was able to get the all-time win record as well a few rounds later on the Monaco weekend. So it's been a really interesting season across all of the other feeder series. And while we don't, of course, cover all of the feeder series in the entirety, Wes, is there anything you have to say in terms of some of the other things you noticed, no matter what feeder series it is? Because, of course, there's lots of different categories out there. But is there anything that you think the audience should be keeping an eye on that you found particularly interesting this year?
Well, I was just looking at the bottom end of the of this race. Dorian Pain, unfortunately, just cannot seem to get to grips with this car. I know it lacks power steering, I think, and not the easiest car in the world for female drivers to drive, as history has shown us. So. I don't know if she plans on staying around in this level. We're obviously going to be getting a brand new car in FRECA next year, so hopefully that'll be slightly easier to drive. Yeah, but even with a top team like Prema, she's really struggling, which we just really don't see that. In anything else she's driven, whether it be F1 Academy or any of the GT racing she's done in the past, she always seems to be there or thereabouts at the front. So yeah, very strange and a bit of a shame to see her so far down in this series.
Yeah, it'll be quite disappointing as well. Not only, of course, Wes, going into next year will we have a new car, but we also find ourselves with the situation of ACI Sport and Alpine also parting ways with the championship. I'll let you, of course, get all of the information loaded on that. We haven't probably been able to discuss that this season, but that's a major thing coming into next year. We've had a new car come in this year for GB3. FRECA will be getting it next year, but it'll be quite interesting to what it's going to be called, to what everything's going to happen. We're, of course, going to get more news coming into next year, but it's going to be a bit of a new phase for the championship and possibly entering a bit of a new era as well. It's not been around for too many years. We'll, of course, continue with the series, but it'll definitely have a bit of a new era with everything that's going to be changing coming into the next season.
Yeah, a lot of things still up in the air about that. A lot of things still not announced, out with Alpine leaving. It's of course going to remain, the FIA support for it is still going to remain, so yeah. I believe it will still be called Formula Regional. But especially at this level, there's a lot of competition from other series. We've mentioned GB3 a lot as well. That seems to have that series has a very easy time funneling drivers through to F3. But there's also Euro Cup 3. That has a very strong field, and even Euro Formula Open, who's had somewhat of a wilderness year's time with in terms of numbers of people entering that. They seem to be coming back in a big way. they've just had a new car as well, incidentally. So yeah, at this Formula Regional level between F3 and F4, lots and lots of competition, and Formula Regional do seem to be a little bit on the back foot, but as I said, a lot of things still up in the air with that. So we'll really just have to wait and see.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait and see when it comes to that in terms of how it's all going to work out. As you weren't with us in GB3, of course, we're on the second channel. We basically get all of the races and everything on here. So I guess we can have a little chat with you in terms of all of the other series that are going on. Basically, of course, we're still also British F4 is about to come to an end as well in terms of our JB Motorsports stream, so that audience will be coming over in a second as well, so we can possibly even discuss a bit of British F4 in a moment. But yeah, I would love to get your thoughts on the GB3 rounds. Of course, we discussed Slater momentarily, but I'd love to discuss and get to know in terms of what your thoughts have been in terms of overall the GB3 rounds that took place in Belgium and also in Zandvoort. So what was your thoughts on that? And then of course we had Italian F4 that you weren't a part of when it came to the last round that took place. So yeah, you missed quite a bit of rounds with us due to of course your Formula 1 stuff that you've been recording for the BBC Radio 5 Live for your own channel.
Yeah, been very very busy. I've not been able to catch all the action, unfortunately, I'm afraid to say. I did catch a bit of the moments in GB3. It wasn't the best coverage, I have to say, last weekend. Some of the camera angles were less than desirable, but yeah, as far as the racing goes, it definitely a lot of fun. If I'm really brutally honest, I don't think it's the strongest field I've ever seen in GB3 this season. Perhaps contributing to how much Freddie Slater was able to show them up. I know Alex Ninovich, who's currently leading that championship, is the year before, when he was in British F4, he was fighting with Dion Gouda for that championship, and towards the latter half of that season, he just fell away in a big way. It was very disappointing to watch, I must say. And Dion Gouda went on to really dominate that championship. And of course now they're up in GB3. The roles seem to have reversed. We were all seemed to be looking to Dion Gouda to really be fighting up at the front, and he's been quite inconsistent. So yeah, it's very very much up and down in terms of driver skill. No one really showing that much consistency apart from Slater and his hill speed teammates, who always seem to be there or thereabouts. But of course none of them are doing the full campaign. So yeah, it's really really hard to really pick a favorite from any of those.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of British F4, and then we'll of course divert it back to FRECA and round it off. British F4, I'd love to talk a little bit about the coverage in terms of that. We're hoping that when we get to Silverstone, me and you were discussing this, we are hoping when we get to Silverstone that we get live coverage of that championship. Because if we do, then we'll be covering it here live on JB Motorsports alongside the Formula 3, Formula 2. But yeah, if we do get that, then it will be quite special and quite interesting to see how it does play out. But it's first of all great that we're getting a British F4 supporting the Formula 1 event, but at the same time, we're hoping that we get the coverage to match it.
Yeah, that's right. I've been very very unkind in the past about the ITV coverage that covers that covers British touring cars. With and of course shows British F4. A friend of mine who runs a motorsport review channel, Marcel. He runs a channel called Race Week Review. Go and check that out if you're able to. We talk very very often about the lack of good coverage of British F4. It's very very poor, and
yeah.
With no Saturday action whatsoever, apart from the British touring car qualifying. But yeah, there's just it's almost like they're there for British Touring Car, and then they just show other stuff, as a sort of a sideshow. But there's not much support for the other series. Of course, they have what is it? Porsche Carrera Cup GB and the minis, and then of course I think Porsche Sprint Cup, Sprint Challenge as well. But yeah, not really. They don't really show a lot of it, and yeah, they need to improve. I remember back in the sort of late 2000s, early 2010s, when ITV were expanding on their coverage, because they only really showed British Touring Car, and that was about it. And then around sort of 2008, 2009, they showed the entire Sunday on ITV4, and at the time that was really, really radical. It was a great improvement. Nobody else was doing anything back then. No one, motorsport on YouTube just wasn't a thing in those days. And yeah, having that on terrestrial free-to-view television was a huge step forward. But that was 15 years ago, and their coverage is exactly the same. It has not changed, has not improved. They, up until this year, they haven't made use of YouTube, which so many other motorsport series have done. And yeah, it's time for ITV to move on and improve the coverage.
Yep, absolutely. And moving the conversation back to FRECA, of course, we still have a race coming up tomorrow, a qualifying session as well, as we mentioned. So, Wes, we're going to wrap up the show. I'd love to get your final thoughts from this session, for this race, and then heading into the final bit of action tomorrow.
Yeah, I think Freddie Slater really won this race off the line. If I'm being honest, that start was absolutely phenomenal. 10 out of 10, no notes. And yeah, from that point, it was just a question of controlling the gap to both Claro and Bora. And yeah, he also I loved the pose he did when he got out of the car in Parc Ferme. It was kind of like the anti George Russell. Instead of being out there, he was all closed in. So love to see that. And yeah, it really depends on the weather, I think, to dictate how qualifying will go. Clara, of course, doing well to grab that pole position. So if we see another surprise pole sitter, it could be a very, very interesting race.
Yep, the qualifying will play a major part due to, of course, how we find ourselves around the circuit, with it being tricky to overtake, and who knows what we're going to get in the race. It'll be, of course, a tight schedule due to other events on, so it could be a shortened race, it could be a red flagged race. We don't have a clue what's going to happen, so qualifying is going to play a major part. Okay, well, that brings the end to the FRECA coverage around Zandvoort. The circuit in your picture has delivered us with a fantastic race 1. We'll be back to do it all over again tomorrow for race number 2. Is Freddie Slater going to be able to make it 2 out of 2 for the first time this season? You're going to have to join us to find out. We'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.